Welcome to our quick start guide for Elemental Shaman in Mist of Pandaria. This video is going to cover everything that you need to know for setting up your character, which includes the best race, the best talents, glyphs, gear, professions, macros, and so much more. But first, let's talk about what's new and what to expect from your spec in PvP. MoP offers several improvements to Ellie, leveling up what was a rather forgettable spec back in Kata. Instant Lava Burst, they are back on the menu thanks to the rework to Lava Surge. And just like modern expansions, playing Ellie means multi-dotting with Flame Shock in order to feed you those juicy procs. Now, of course, doing damage is just half of the equation for Ellie, and MoP offers a ton in the utility department thanks to some new and reworked totems, including Stormlash and Windwalk, Healing Stream, and even Healing Tide, which, yes, is available for all Shaman specs in this expansion. In order to be competitive, you're going to need to play a supportive role, giving your team stability more than anything else. Your main job ain't to win the game per se, but instead stall and dampen the enemy team, shutting down their advances with your grounding, wind shear, and even NS Hex. If you could think of yourself kind of like a goalie, you're on your way to really mastering this spec in that mindset. But before we start with all that, this is just the first part in our Mist of Pandaria series. Our complete courses, including healing, damage, and playstyle guides, they are all available exclusively at skillcap.com. For the past few months, we've been working alongside the best and the most dedicated players ever in Mist of Pandaria. And right now, you can get ahead of 90% of players instantly thanks to our revamped courses, which teach you literally everything you need to know. And that's why we continue to offer a 400 rating gain guarantee across all of our games. So whether you want to experience MoP Classic or hop into retail, be sure to click the discount link below in order to get started. But for now, let's get back to the video. Alright, so it is time to make the very first decision before you even step foot into the game. Picking your race. Racials, they matter a lot in Classic, and MoP is no different. If you plan on playing Alliance, then Dwarf is marginally going to be the best option here. Since this is the era of Train the Blue, Stone Form is a great defensive option. The 10% damage reduction is going to be useful in every matchup, and the bleed and poison removal is great against Feral Druids and Rogues. Now, if you want to play Horde, Orc is definitely going to be your best option here. Hardiness is arguably the best racial passive in the entire game, offering 15% stun reduction, which even stacks with similar effects. Not to mention Blood Fury, which is also a huge power spike, acting as a pseudo unused trinket. But now let's talk about talents and glyphs, which both received an overhaul going into the expansion and are now much more streamlined. For our first row, we're going to pick Nature's Guardian every time. Its healing effect has a low internal cooldown and can even proc during stuns, passively bolstering our survivability. We really don't need Astral Shift since we already have Shamanistic Rage. Then for the next row, we can soft lock Earth Grab Totem, which we'll use into melee, especially melee cleaves. Note that this is also good when playing with a Druid, since it also allows you to Root Beam healers with Symbiosis. However, if you're playing against a Mage, especially with a melee on your team, we recommend swapping to Windwalk Totem, as this is going to help everyone's uptime. For our level 45 talents, Call of the Elements is always going to be the play here. This talent is extremely busted, allowing us to reset the cooldown of most totems. This means we can Tremor back to back, ground twice in a row, or give our team crazy mobility with Windwalk. Be sure to check out our course because it includes a detailed breakdown of this talent in action, including some min-max tips. Then for the next row, we're going to play Ancestral Swiftness, and now we're not doing this for an instant heal, but instead an instant Hex, which is a very strong tool in Arena. For the next row, we have two options. Now in mini games, we can play Ancestral Guidance to pair with our Burst. It's going to convert damage into healing. However, if we're playing into Mages, Destro Warlocks, Boomkins, Survival Hunters, or into other Ellie Shamans, we should play with Rushing Streams, which is going to pair with the Glyph of Healing Stream Totem for some party-wide spell damage reduction. And finally, for the last row, we highly recommend Unleashed Fury. Unleashing is a crucial part of our damage rotation, and we want the extra modifier for Lava Burst. Now, you could play Elemental Blast in some matchups. This is a bit more gimmicky and harder to pull off, but can work when you're playing with another caster, especially a Frost Mage. Now, as far as glyphs are concerned, let's break things down into a few categories. Our only hard-locked glyph is Lightning Shield, which basically gives us 10% passive damage reduction as long as we're getting hit. Then we have 2 soft lock glyphs, which are useful in most matchups, including Hex for a shorter cooldown and Flame Shock for some pad healing. We're going to remove these glyphs when needed to get our situational flex glyphs. Once again, against mages, Destra Warlocks, Boomkins, Survival Hunters, and other Ellie Shamans, we're going to want Glyph of Healing Stream Totem, which simply adds spell damage reductions against fire, frost, and nature damage. Now, if we want some extra bulk when we are the kill target against casters, we can use Glyph of Shamanistic Rage. Just please do not use this against Affliction Warlocks. Trust us when we say this. Finally, against melee cleaves, we can drop one of our soft lock glyphs for Glyph of Thunder, reducing the cooldown of our knock. Now, there's only one minor glyph that actually matters here, and that is Totemic Encirclement. This is going to help protect your totems from getting instantly sniped down. But now it's time to move on to the exciting bit of this course, gearing your character. Now, luckily, there is absolutely no PvE involved here. First, though, let's talk about our stat priority, which will affect the pieces that we buy and how we gem and enchant them. Intellect is the most important stat by far, as it's going to affect our damage the most. But with that in mind, we need to make sure we're getting 6% hit so our spells don't miss, and do note that Spirit gets converted into hit. Then we're going to aim to get as much haste as possible. This is not only going to add a ton of fluidity to our rotation, allowing us to maximize GCDs and to get more Lava Surge procs. Mastery is next in line, and Critical Strike is by far our least important stat, since we're guaranteed crits with Lava Burst with Flame Shock on the target. Now, MoP also introduces 2 new stats, PvP Resilience, which reduces damage taken from enemy players, and PvP Power, which increases healing and your damage done to other players. Both of these stats occur naturally on PvP gear and are the reason why all of your best in-slot gear will be from PvP. Now, while they are important, you really don't need to worry about them when you're gearing. Now, like most expansions, you're going to start by collecting full honor gear while gradually farming conquest gear every week to replace each slot with higher item level epics. Now, luckily, the stats on items offered in each slot are exactly the same. So with that in mind, let's break down our biz lists. For our main pieces, we're going to be wearing every piece of the mail set, with the exception of our gloves, which will be Resto's Ringmail Gauntlets. Then we're going to use the Alacrity Neck, the Cloak and Bracers of Prowess. Our belt is going to be Meditation. Remember that Spirit becomes Hint. Then for our boots, we're going to get Alacrity. Our rings are going to be Meditation and Accuracy. For our weapon, we're going to get the One-Handed Dagger or Mace and pair it with the Redoubt Shield. Now, you're going to wear 2 PvP trinkets no matter what, because of their resilience set bonus. We're going to get the PvP medallion with crit, which can be reforged, and then we're going to get the insignia trinket. Just do make sure to buy the one with intellect. Luckily, enchants are pretty streamlined in MoP. For our weapon and offhand, we're always going to use Jade Spirit and Major Intellect. Then for our high-ticket enchants, we're going to get the Greater Crane Wing inscription on our shoulders, and then the Greater Pearlescent Spell Thread on our legs. Then going through our minor enchants, unless we're a tailor, we're going to get Superior Intellect on our cloak, and no matter what, we're going to get Glorious Stats on our chest and Super Intellect on our bracers. Then for our gloves, we're going to go with Greater Haste. And finally, for our boots, we recommend Pandarian Step for extra movement speed and increased mastery. When it comes to gems, we're going to try and match each socket. For red slots, always use Brilliant Primordial Rubies. Then to match yellow sockets, get Reckless Vermilion Onyx. And finally, for blues, use Mysterious Imperial Amethyst or Purified Imperial Amethyst if you're below hit cap. And don't forget that you get an extra prismatic socket in your belt with the Living Steel Belt Buckle. Then for our meta gem, we're going to get the Burning Primal Diamond for maximum damage. We would always recommend this as Dwarf. Otherwise, as Orc, you can get the powerful Primal Diamond for its 10% stun reduction, which stacks with the Orc Racial. So once you have everything geared and enchanted, be sure to head over to the Reforger to fine-tune your stats. And now when it comes to reforging, we're going to make sure to get our hit cap if needed by reforging to Spirit. Then we're going to aim to get as much haste as we can, removing Critical Strike or Mastery on any slot. Now, just like the other classic expansions, professions definitely matter in MoP. Just like other DPS, we're going to aim for Tailoring as our first profession. Tailoring offers a unique cloak enchant that can proc an extra 2,000 intellect for 15 seconds, which is absurdly strong. Then for your second profession, we recommend Engineering for the Synapse Springs Glove enchant, which is an on-use effect that gives extra main stat for 10 seconds on a 1-minute cooldown. Now, if you plan on playing resto, you could instead play jewel crafting or blacksmithing as your second profession, since these offer static bonuses to any stat. Now, normally we would give you your macros here, but to make things even easier, we've got everything you need on our article site. There you can copy-paste each macro one by one instead of needing to manually type in-game. But before we go, you really don't want to miss this opportunity to get a massive head start on the competition with our 400 rating gain guarantee. Our courses and arena commentaries, they literally have everything you need to help you reach your goals. Regardless of how easy or how hard your class is to play, we've got you covered here. So head on over to skillcap.com and sign up today to start your journey to Gladiator.